Let's talk about something very controversial. They're called near-death experiences. Made popular. This was made popular with a book called 90 Minutes in Heaven. He wasn't breathing for 90 minutes. It's a book. It may be a movie. But he's a Baptist minister coming back from a Baptist convention, and he was crashed into by a truck, and he was so mangled and that the EMT people got no pulse, no sign of life, no breath, nothing. And they tried, these ambulance people, because there were several people that got knocked off. I'm going to get my Coke here. They got knocked off the major interstate by this truck. Truck happened to be from a prison system. They were transporting something from a prison system, and from what I gathered, remember from the book, that they had one of the criminals from the prison driving it, and I don't think he had a driver's license. Well, if you get a chance to glance at the book, you'll see the pictures of him in the hospital. Took him over a year, I'm sure, off and on in the hospital, mostly in the hospital, to be able to, want to live again. Even though he was married and had children. But he didn't want to live again, not only because of the pain, but his description of what he saw when he died, which is why they call it a near-death experience. In his case, it would have been considered a complete death experience. What brought him back was they had covered up the his car, with a tarp, and 90 minutes had gone by, and one of the guys, another minister from the that had been at that convention, I think it was in Texas, Southern Baptist Convention, he felt compelled to pull over, check things out, and he told the ambulance, that car over there that's covered up, I need to go over there and check on that guy. True story. And the ambulance people said, man, here's some people here that's not dead yet. You need to pray for them. If you're really ministers, you're praying for the wrong person, because he was declared dead long ago. Not a heartbeat, not a breath. And I found that interesting, that he kept pestering the EMT people, emergency people, first responders, last responders. They were taking people to the hospital, but they weren't going to take him to the hospital. He's dead. So the preacher that pulled over said, could you humor me and let me just go over there? And they gave up. They said, okay. He went over there. He put his hand on him and started praying for him. And he came back to life. Yeah. I could go into a lot more detail about that event because there was more to it than I said. He was singing a religious song to him. What a friend we have in Jesus. Now, to make this thing sound more bizarre, as he was singing it, the dead man started singing it with him. The preacher goes to the EMT people and say, hey, listen, this guy's alive. They run over there, and sure enough, they said, get the ambulance and put him in there quick. He was so bad, the first hospital, so bad as far as condition, hospital didn't want to touch him. Too mangled. So they said, go to the biggest hospital we have in this city, whatever it was. It's all in the book, along with the photographs of his brokenness, and he still can't walk well. After all these years, he can walk to where if he walked into a room, he could walk without a walker or a cane or anything. And people say, you don't look like you've ever been in an accident. Of course, he's got a suit on. He said, I would, but I don't think it's appropriate for me to take my clothes off and show you what actually happened to me. And it's very painful for me to have walked up to the podium to speak to you. And not only that, but it's very painful for me to get phone calls from churches that want me to come and speak about this. And what I saw when I left my body, died, and what I saw in heaven. Now comes it becomes a bestseller, of course, and he was close to here, and I wanted to go and hear him. He was in Lexington, Kentucky, and I was in Louisville, I think, at the time. And Lexington's only an hour and a half away. I didn't go and hear him, but I can listen to him on right here on YouTube. If you want to check this out, put 90 Minutes in Heaven, because I forgot his name. 90 Minutes in Heaven. And he's going to probably have several sermons at many different churches there. He never charged any money, fees for speaking. He didn't do this for money. He asked for one thing: I'm never going to turn a church down that invites me, but would you set up a little table for me to sell my book? At that time it was one book. And that's going to pay my way. And then by now he's probably got 3 or 4 books and a lot of royalties. but he doesn't charge anything to go to any denomination church. So as far as I know, he's still preaching, and I've heard people that criticize preachers include him in with fake preachers, false preachers. Heard one person do that. I'm not going to mention his name because there's so many that are studying the tactics of these preachers that have 3 or 4 homes and 3 or 4 planes and all that. I'm afraid I'd name the wrong person that happened to have put his name with what they call the fake preachers. Okay, now I'm doing this video because I have an interest in it. I've read books by it. I've just read 2 books by 2 medical doctors. I think I saw a movie by one. Her name was Mary. I can't think of her name. Not Mary Neal, but it could have been. And hers, I really felt was accurate. She drowned on a canoe accident and didn't get pulled up for 20 minutes. And she watched the people getting her out, trying to get her out. And she said while she was watching, she felt complete peace even though she had drowned. If y'all have an interest in knowing more about this topic, leave me a message, and I'll get the books and show them to you, so you'll have a couple resources. The major complaint about people that speak about this is Sid Roth. He has a program called It's Supernatural. And I have to say that what I've watched from him, I would say that I have found most of it hard to believe, and 1 or 2 that I thought was absolutely authentic. He had apparently changed the way it was presented, and it wasn't like the book at all. Parts of it wasn't. So that's what we're dealing with when we talk about near-death experience, and can I say things that are hard to believe because they just don't happen to the normal person. But if I had to name one book to take a look at, it's 90 Minutes in Heaven. You can probably go to Goodwill or Salvation Army and find a copy or 2 of it. Buy it for $1 or $2. I've seen it there. I've bought some there. I've given them away. And if you have anything to share regarding your own experience or a friend's experience, feel free to leave it. I hesitated very much to do this video tonight because so much skepticism skepticism in this, that people will think that I'll swallow anything that's given to me. But I almost did one on premonition, and I may, if anybody says they want to hear some premonition stories. No, the difference, let me just tell you what a premonition, the way I understand it, is it's visualizing something in a dream before it happens. That's the easiest way to understand it. You dream about something happening. Could be a heart attack, an accident, someone dying. It's usually negative. A premonition is normally negative. And if one acts on a premonition, 50% of the time it can be altered. That means stopped. That means if we're going to be on a plane and you see it in a dream that it catches on fire or crashes, that's when you can change things. Not for the rest of the people on the plane, and not for the plane. You're not going to stop it from burning, but you can not get on that plane. I was reading a book last night on premonitions by a medical doctor that has studied them, oh my goodness, for forever. And since he was a medical student. And it's fascinating and hard to believe a lot of times, but it's all documented by people that he interviewed that experienced this stuff. Okay, I better stop now before you turn me off from talking too long. Talk with y'all later.